Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're taking a deep dive into the Midlife Manual, which is this really insightful and often, let's be honest, hilarious collection from John O'Connell and Jessica Cargill Thompson. You sent us this treasure trove, really, and our mission is to pull out those key nuggets of wisdom, the properly surprising facts, and just enough humor to help navigate this particular period of life. Think of it as your shortcut, maybe, to being genuinely clued in about what it means to be officially in midlife. So to kick things off, the manual itself has this little self-assessment, a questionnaire. Listen closely and just see how many of these ring true for you, how many you'd answer yes to, right? Are you? Age between 40 and 55. Acutely conscious that life hasn't quite panned out the way you thought it would when you were 18. Obsessed by your childhood, especially the fact you can barely remember it. Feeling a bit alienated by technology. Scared of cancer, maybe even more scared of death. Planning your retirement even though you secretly suspect it's going to be a wasteland of, well, impoverished misery. Nervous of all the young people in your office. Those bright young things. A lot happier after a couple of glasses of wine. Okay, maybe half a bottle. Getting divorced. Or spending a lot of time consoling friends who are having, or maybe just thinking about having, an affair. Perhaps even considering one with those friends who are getting divorced. Aware that the Beatles were only in their late 20s when they split. They'd made all those world-changing records. And what have you achieved? Yeah? What? Worrying about what all those drugs you took back in the day might be doing to you now. Stuck with a tattoo you really, really hate. Tired. Just really tired. And maybe depressed. And angry. Gosh, where does that anger come from? Why did no one warn you? Are you growing out of all your clothes? In quotation marks. Thinking about moving to the country. That rural idol. Turning into your parents. Oh, dear. Puzzled because somehow, somewhere, you seem to have lost all the friends you actually liked and gained a load of new ones you barely know. Constantly obsessing about accessorizing your home. Cushions, throws, that kind of thing. And finally, are you aware that noticing and actually having opinions about stuff in the papers basically marks you out as practically dead?
Wow, that is quite the list. I bet quite a few people listening are sort of nervously ticking boxes there. And what the manual suggests is, look, if you answered yes to more than half of those, well, congratulations, you are officially experiencing midlife, middle age, or as they put it, the beginning of the end, which is an interesting frame, isn't it? A bit cynical, maybe. What really struck me is their point about wisdom versus temper. We apparently gain wisdom, but also the temper of Zeus. They warn this anger actually narrows your focus, makes you hyper-focus, like you're stalking a deer through a forest. And unlike the angry young man, the angry old man just sort of evokes the smell of dandruff and old slippers. It suggests this anger isn't useful, it just makes you
He's
old.
definitely blunt, isn't it? Really sets the tone. Okay, speaking of evolving, or maybe devolving in some ways, let's talk food, something less painful perhaps. Seems midlife brings on what the manual calls nerdish levels of food snobbery, even for like really basic stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Cheese is the perfect example they give. Over 700 types in the UK alone, apparently. It allows for train spotter-ish proportions of indulgence. And the advice. Don't theme your cheese board. No all Welsh selections, please. Know the arguments about serving it before or after pudding. Fuss if it's not room temperature. Get different knives for each cheese. And this is the clincher. Cross off your Christmas card list any guest uncouth enough to cut the point or nose off the brie. Seriously.
Oh, I can just picture the scene. And chocolate gets the same treatment, right? It's suddenly good for you, but only.
Only if it's the good stuff with more than 70% cocoa. Raises serotonin, lowers blood pressure, wards off cancer. All according to scientists, they add, with a bit of a wink. And the way to taste it. Snap it ostentatiously, melt it on the back of your tongue and mutter about, berries, smoky notes, a long finish. Basically, talk like you're tasting wine.
And hide the whisper wrappers, God forbid.
Then, honey, another chance to get self-righteous about antioxidants, hay fever, maybe even saving the planet. The manual says you must insist on keeping at least 3 types of honey on the go, ready to explain how lavender honey is just so different from heather honey. It's practically a different foodstuff.
It's all performance art, isn't it? And tea. Forget just offering a cup of tea. You need names like Orange Pekoe, Imperial Oolong, Darjeeling, Lapsang Souchong, Silver Needle. They should just trip so silkily off the tongue.
They even mention George Orwell's essay, his 11 Rules: loose tea, teapot, skimmed milk, no sugar.
And the great milk and first debate. It really shows how we use these things to build a kind of sophisticated midlife identity.
Spot on. It's like we're proving something. But it's not just about what we should like now. The manual has this aversion therapy section to kill nostalgia for childhood. Sit with meat paste sandwiches, Vimto, watch bread reruns on Dave, get a friend to chain smoke nearby. Oh, and for 70s kids, flick the power off at dinner.
Oh, the horror. And for student days.
Live on 20 pounds a week, listen to Emerson, Lake and Palmer's Brain Salad Surgery, try reading Paradise Lost in a Day, pour beer on the carpet,
Lovely.
and eat that horrible own-brand pasta sauce that tastes like bile mixed with red custard. Absolutely no vegetables allowed.
And costume dramas. All those pretty villages.
Remember the poverty, disease, and hard manual labor, extreme sexual inequality, extreme social inequality, war, and murder. Kills the mood a bit.
Just a bit.
Yeah.
They also list foods you should have grown out of, like pickled onion monster munch or those smiley potato faces.
And foods you really should like by now. Olives, oysters, sushi, kale, really smelly cheese. It's funny, it shows how we both romanticize the past but are also expected to have, well, moved on.
Exactly. So the takeaway, our tastes change. Maybe they should change, and sometimes just laughing at the past, including your old food habits, is the way forward. Right, so we've done the midlife palette. What about the actual container? Our bodies. The manual is pretty direct here. Just when you finally accepted what you look like, everything starts to change. Unwanted growth spurts waist, pecs, ears apparently, while other bits shrink cheeks, lips, your ability to judge appropriate clothing.
And the hair. Growing everywhere except your head. It's quite the picture. The manual lays out the big 5 midlife grooming must-dos. Starting with dyeing. Gray hair happens. Men can play the silver fox card, though they mention Paul McCartney's been dyeing since the 80s.
Really? Since the 80s?
Apparently. But male hair doesn't take dye well, and thinning makes it look ridiculous without pro help for women. Well, no one's invented the silver vixen yet, and the upsides of gray hair are few.
Oh, dear. Any good news?
Yeah, it's genetic. You really can blame your parents for this one.
Pew. Okay, number 2.
Plucking. Hair starts appearing in places it just shouldn't. Enough
Oh.
said, really.
Right. And number 3.
Concealing. Broken veins, rosacea, dark circles. Basically looking knackered. They mentioned Georgians used lead paint. Victorians drank vinegar for pale skin.
Yikes.
Today it's foundation, concealers, green creams, all to give the illusion that your complexion is as natural as your hair color. And they explicitly say, men, we know you do it too.
The secrets are out. What about tattoos and piercings? If you got them young.
You might regret that Celtic band you now hide with long sleeves, or the ankle strawberry clashing with your heels if you didn't.
You might envy friends flashing a navel ring from their misspent youth.
See, exactly. But the manual strongly advises against getting that little bluebird now. Picture yourself in a tattoo parlor, full of young, cool people exposing your wrinkled, dimpled love handles. Shame doesn't even cover it.
Oh, the cringe. Okay, moving swiftly on. Slippers. They get a whole section.
Yes. Once seen as embarrassing for old people or even damaged sociopaths, they mention an evangelical girl with giant fluffy pig slippers. Wow.
But now, appreciated for coziness. The author admits trying ironic, kinky Japanese rubber ones before finally buying proper slippers for 15 pounds and never looking back. Practicality wins.
It seems to be a theme. And for women, specifically, it's about making an effort.
Yeah, the manual says unbrushed hair and bitten nails might seem sexy in your 20s, but in your 40s, you will just look like a mad old bat. Bit harsh.
Just a tad.
Grooming is framed as tedious life-denying, involving lint removers and, quote, silent Filipino women scouring cracked heels. The end result. Not glamour, but basic upkeep, taming your vile, unruly body, so it doesn't actually give offense.
Good grief. That's bleak. What about the language of face creams? They dissect that, too.
Oh, yes. For the young, it's all kind, soothing, names like Youth Code. Then as you age, it becomes fighting talk creams. Fight existing lines. Resist age. Defy time. Full of pro-retinol and aquaphysics.
And after 50.
It's wrinkle decrease, like your face is a stubborn piece of laundry. Makes you feel like an old ruin.
Which leads people to more extreme stuff, presumably. Exactly. Botox, collagen marshmallows, even Nightingale poo face washes, Gore-Tex lip implants. But here's the paradox they point out. If everyone gets Botox to look younger.
Then everyone just looks younger.
Right, so 35-year-olds look 28, 40-year-olds look 34. Everyone's back to looking their age because that's just what their age looks like now. And it's a weird cycle.
That's a really interesting point. Any quick tips on less invasive things, like nose hair?
Quick note, nose hair filters germs, don't remove it all. Ear hair is mostly post-midlife. For men, hiding a paunch. Don't tuck shirts in, wear dark colors, don't belt too tight. And apparently William Shatner did not wear a girdle. Myth busted.
Good to know. And finally, cardigans.
Yes, the unsung heroes. Less likely to cause injury than pulling a jumper over your head, apparently. Better airflow, and much more flattering for the male mood factor. Comfort and practicality again.
It really is the theme. Okay, bodies dealt with. What about where we put them? Our homes. The manual says since you don't go out much anymore, lack energy, childcare, cultural awareness, your home becomes everything. Restaurant, cinema, office, gym, storage unit.
Which makes it perfectly natural to obsess over things like scented candles and fish kettles in lieu of having an actual life. Ouch. They described the midlife dream home evolving from a camping stove and futon phase to desiring quality craftsmanship, character. Think handmade oak tables, fancy pepper mills,
Essentials for the living room.
a chair where you know the designer, an Eames lounger, say, Joe Malone or diptyque candles, definitely not joss sticks, very expensive speakers, Bose, Karma, nothing under $1,000, and proper art. For the bedroom, a quality sprung bed is a must.
What about guest rooms? Still the futon.
Huh? Maybe. They mentioned DIY shelves, a cheap sofa bed, a small portable telly, but also things like truckle beds, arrow beds, even pull-down wall beds for that Della 7 frisson, pretending you're still a carefree bachelor.
Desperate measures. How about where we buy this stuff? John Lewis versus IKEA.
Oh, a classic comparison. John Lewis feels like sipping chamomile tea. Staff know about pocket-sprung mattress technology. You find proper sherry glasses, over 30 types of peppermill. It's seen as a model of socialism, employee partners.
And IKEA.
Its cues of bickering families are one of the circles of hell, but you get meatballs, you get to screw furniture together, you impulse buy napkins, and the Billy bookcase? A design classic, over 41 million sold. Before 1987, apparently, the UK didn't even know about lingonberries or Allen keys. Imagine.
Hard to imagine. Now, this next bit surprised me. There's no such thing as white.
Right. By midlife, you should know this. It's not just white, it's all white, strong white, Wimborne white. Those Pharaoh and ball names, maybe even old towel or spilt milk.
It's all about the light quality. Flat white is tiring.
Apparently, it speaks volumes about this newfound discernment or maybe just obsession with detail, which ties into the cleaning obsession they mention, ironing sheets, knowing your vacuum attachments, and the pile of gratuitous kitchen gadgets, avocado pitters, fish boning tweezers.
Why do we get those?
Well, men like gadgets, apparently. Or it signals you're past your bedsit days. Status symbols, maybe.
Could be. And what about suburbia? The place we all rebelled against.
Midlife brings appreciation, the manual suggests, for places like Letchworth, Welwyn Garden City, those planned garden cities, gardens, sheds, peace and quiet, suddenly appealing.
A grudging acceptance, perhaps. And they even suggest where to live based on midlife goals.
Yes, Kent or Essex for grammar schools, Chorlton in Manchester for raising kids creatively, Hertfordshire, Surrey golf courses for networking, Isles of Scilly for early retirement, highest percent of over 50s.
Wow. Keep going.
Hay on Wye to open that dream bookshop, Devon to run a business remotely, and Fula in the Shetlands to really get away from it all, but you'll need to learn knitting or fishing. It shows a total rethink of what the dream is.
From city life to remote knitting. Okay, physical space is covered. Let's get into the emotional ones. Relationships. The manual's opening line here is dramatic. 20s relationships are clear, gently rippling streams. Midlife. They're transformed into polluted creeks.
Cheery. So, romantic evenings in. The advice. DVD box sets everyone else watched ages ago. The West Wing, The Wire, Mad Men. Avoid foreign films with subtitles because if you wanted to spend the evening reading, you'd go to bed with a book.
Makes sense.
And the golden rule? On no account should one person get ahead on episodes or the entire fragile equilibrium of the relationship will be thrown into jeopardy.
Yeah.
Don't watch ahead.
The ultimate betrayal now. Affairs. The justification.
Ah.
Because ultimately we're just animals.
Meaning animals aren't monogamous, right? Well, the
No.
manual actually looks into that. Coyotes, parents share feeding duties, sometimes meet with wolves. Bears, males leave, might eat their own cubs. Flatworm fish, monogamous because they literally fuse together.
Seriously. Fused.
Literally. Beavers, reasonably monogamous, stay together till death. Dad teaches dam building. Gibbons, rare monogamy, only 6% of primates. Mums in charge, they sing together. Bonobos will shag anything, it's agreed in conflict resolution. Dolphins mate often, briskly functionally, frequently gay, sometimes sit on humans. It's quite the spectrum out there.
A very wild ride indeed. So, keeping the human magic alive. Learn to fly for weekends away. Or
There's always porn the manual size. And definitely avoid their top 5 worst midlife date movies.
Right.
Heartburn, Meryl Streep, Pie, Jack Nicholson, Bergman's Scenes from a Marriage, Woody Allen's Husbands and Wives, Kramer versus Kramer, Meryl Again, Custody Battle, The Squid and the Whale, All Divorce and Misery, Perfect Date Night.
Guaranteed romance killer.
Yeah.
What about actual midlife sex tips?
They're very practical. Be in the same room, dim lights, remove all clothes. Doing it for each other will really drag things out. Stay awake, relax, don't stress about the kids. They're probably just going to the toilet.
And the crucial bit.
Don't say anything. And don't go, shh. Concise, isn't it? For affairs, they range from one-off restorative aversions to the final severance. If you find out your partner cheated, recommendation, flick them with a wet towel.
That's it. A wet towel flick.
Apparently. Serial cheaters are called sociopathic freaks, often leading to May-December things, where both sides declare, this is it, it's never happened to them before.
Right. Internet dating. It's no big deal, supposedly.
But not for the thin-skinned. You can be dropped instantly, no explanation. Men find all the pretty girls are oversubscribed. Women find most of the men want women younger than they are. Bleak.
Very. And divorce.
Oh.
Seems inevitable in midlife, according to this.
Every marriage seems to end in divorce, it claims. Tips include giving clear signals like, I am leaving you because you bore me senseless. Don't try to cushion the blow for adult children. For God's sake, you're 19. We brought you up together, didn't we?
Charming. And the grief remedy. The cheeky lemsip.
Ah, yes. Lemon juice, ground-up Xanax, Nurofen Plus, and good single malt whiskey. Described as a roller coaster that costs a minimum of $10K a ticket and lasts at least 2 years. And you feel sick for the entire ride.
Good grief. That $10K. Yeah. What else could you buy?
They list it. 14 Ford Focus 1.6 estates, 23,000 eat coconut and raspberry slices, or 1 2-bedroom flat in Holland Park. Puts it in perspective.
It certainly does. Cougars and sugar daddies get a look in, too.
Yep. Why older women date younger men. No single men their age, no baby pressure. What makes them attractive? Yoga flexibility, pert buttocks. Why older men date younger women. Evolutionary urge for fertility, stimulating conversation, money, pert breasts, pure envy. Quite the list.
Seems balanced in its cynicism. What about the child-free life? Any consolations?
Oh, yes. Children are a huge responsibility. They're expensive. $200K to age 21, apparently. And they put a strain on your relationship. Simple as that.
But what if you suddenly realize, OMG, I forgot to have children?
The manual notes the number of women having kids over 40 has nearly trebled. Yes, older parents are too tired, but babies are tiring anyway. They list role models. Madonna, 41, Cherie Blair, 45, and astonishing cases of women in their 60s and 70s giving birth. The punchline. Sure, there's a chance you'll be dead before they finish university, but at least you'll get out of paying their fees. Dark humor there.
Very dark. And finally, separate beds. A growing trend.
Seems so. A 2005 U.S. survey found 23% of married couples slept alone, up from 12% in 2001. The manual points out, posh people in history always had separate rooms.
And the ultimate aspiration.
The Queen and Prince Philip have long slept in separate beds, and there's a relationship to aspire to. Pragmatism over passion, perhaps.
Okay, we've done relationships. Let's talk work, purpose, hobbies. That midlife search for meaning. The big question posed by the manual, wouldn't it be better just to live in the middle of the countryside and make chutney?
It captures that feeling, doesn't it? The manual says the point of work by midlife often feels like it just never ends, leading to poverty, worthless pensions, and illness that waits till you retire, then pounces like a randy panther.
Grim. What about pensions specifically?
An alarming 2.5 million in the UK don't have one. The rule of thumb for how much to save. Have the age you started your pension, use that as a percentage of your salary.
So if you started at 30?
15%.
Exactly. They calculate even 35, 40-year-olds need 500 pounds a month for just a $15K annual pension at 65, but then...
And dark consolation. Right. Pension funds have been going down the toilet anyway. Income fell 72% between 2010-2010. Better to spend spare cash on wine, art, property, lottery tickets, plus a 1 in 6 chance of dying before 65 anyway, so why bother saving?
They really don't hold back. What about redundancy?
Feels awful, but it's seen as an inevitable rite of passage. Advice. Network like mad, get hobbies, use it as an excuse to go into therapy. But don't use therapy as an excuse not to look for work. Practical, at least.
And the chutney fantasy, is that just about chutney?
No, it's a generic term for escape route dreams. Quitting the corporate job to make artisanal chutney over open fires in copper pans, selling it for £6.95 a jar to match your old PR salary.
Or knitting things to sell from a retro van.
Exactly, those kinds of fantasies. It's about regaining some control, maybe finding authenticity.
Makes sense. Then there are the actual hobbies, the idle distractions, like blogging.
An outlet for opinions on things you didn't know you cared about, that cafe with the ugly red aluminum shop front, teenagers dropping burger wrappers, making the sort of observations others are too scared to make.
Or joining a book group. Sounds grown up.
But often there's a controlling host pushing Richard and Judy novels, or obvious classics like White Teeth suggest something brilliant but maybe difficult, like The Echoing Grove, and you get, oh, I saw that, it was really depressing. Then making bread in a bread maker. It feels proper, like joining the Real Bread campaign against supermarket tanning salons, bakeries, even if your Panasonic mimics industrial methods.
And keeping chickens.
The dream of fresh eggs, a nice coop, bantams with amusing names, Torville and Dean are suggested, maybe an Igloo the Bugaboo of chicken coops. Accessories are key.
Naturally. What about gadgets?
Nature's way of demonstrating how much the world has improved. iPads, Robert's iPod docks, even the Breville sandwich toaster, remembered fondly from youth with its slogan, "Don't be mini, help a sandwich." Nostalgia tech.
And finally, learning a musical instrument. The midlife rockstar dream.
The manual recalls someone wanting to form a synth duo called Par Avion, dressing as pilots on top of the pops. The reality. Citing Malcolm Gladwell, you need to start young and practice loads. Midlife is more for refining existing talents, not finding new ones you probably don't have. Other things mentioned, detoxing, but avoid the birch tea. Sorting CDs, deck chairs on the Titanic, gardening, gambling.
Visiting National Trust properties.
Yes. Mug up on history first, leave the teens at home, bring your Faro and Ball color swatch, of course.
And buying wine from a posh merchant like Barry Bros. And Rudd at Red Jerk.
Incipient alcoholism is recast as an earnest drive to acquire inological expertise. Perfect phrasing. The search for meaning clearly takes many forms.
Okay, the final frontier. Health and mortality. The manual doesn't sugarcoat this either, does it? If you're lucky, you'll have sustained only negligible wear and tear, but midlife is where it all changes, where it all starts to go horribly, horribly wrong. The clanging chimes of doom.
Yep, pretty direct. On weight gain, you're eating too much and not exercising enough. Simple. Metabolism slows, muscle tone drops. You need 200 fewer calories a day after 45. They contrast us with Okinawans, loads of centenarians due to diet, and Sardinians, where men live as long as women, lifestyle matters.
And alcohol. We don't want to hear this, but...
It's not good for you. Makes you depressed, moody, tired, aggressive. But that favorite fact from the 1997 study, moderate drinking linked to slightly lower death risk in middle age, and red wine flavonoids for the heart.
A small comfort. What about their definition of cancer?
It's memorable. When your cells get tired and decide they can no longer be bothered to divide properly, followed by a glib comparison to Logan's Run, where everyone's killed at 30. Darkly humorous, maybe.
Definitely dark. And this leads to hypochondria, peaking in midlife.
Yes, the fear of illness based on the misinterpretation of physical symptoms. But then the killer question, something's going to be malfunctioning by the time you get to midlife. So how do you know you're misinterpreting?
Good point. That pins and needles feeling. Could it be Guillain-Barré syndrome?
Exactly. That fear suddenly feels more rational when your body is actually starting to send weird signals.
So what about midlife exercise? Pilates first.
Described hilariously as licensed lying down, popular with the over 35s. Gwyneth does it. Looks easy, but it's hard. Hold your stomach in for a whole hour without even wearing Spanx. It works deep muscles, though pelvic floor, stops you weeing yourself involuntarily. Lumbar muscles for back pain, practical benefits.
And running. The gotta start somewhere option.
Yes, involving meticulous prep, iPod playlists, everybody wants to run the world by Tears for Fears suggested, high-tech wicking gear. But the downsides, being seen in public in sportswear, wrecked knees, and remembering endorphins also kick in during stress and pain, not just runner's high.
Captures the ambivalence well. What about sleep? We're just not doing it as well.
Often blamed on a partner's prostate or coffee or dropping testosterone levels in men after 30, you wake at 3 a.m.
Thinking profound thoughts.
Like, if I'm in the autumn of my years, who is going to rake up the leaves? Or, my father died 4 years before he reached my current age. Those kinds of thoughts.
Which signifies that big shift, right? From knowing you'll die sometime to really feeling it.
Exactly. Becoming truly aware of the inescapable fact of your own mortality. And naturally, this leads to advice on funerals. That's it, though. Fake hay fever for grief. Use architecture as a distraction. Pre-read texts for hidden meanings.
The don'ts.
Don't wear black, terribly aging. Don't check emails during the silence. Don't cry too much, puffiness. Don't drink too much. Unbecoming to be seen dancing on the table, especially if you're the widow. And crucially, do keep ashes well labeled and nowhere near the spice rack.
Sound advice. The death of parents is framed as the real crossing point into middle age.
Yes, crossing the Rubicon. Because we're the sandwich generation, kids, work, aging parents, their death can feel weirdly anticlimactic.
Good brings the terror of knowing that you have reached the top of the family tree. No longer is there the buffer. You are next.
Wow, heavy stuff. And finally, wills. 1 in 3 people die intestate, apparently. Wills are so boring you might get distracted by a chaffinch. But do include funeral instructions because grief-stricken people need distractions. Practical to the end.
So we've really covered the map with the Midlife Manual, from that initial questionnaire angst to chutney fantasies, changing bodies, and facing, well, the end.
We have. And the manual, despite all its sarcasm and sharp observations, it really does hold up a mirror, doesn't it? It gives us a shared language, points of reference for a time that can feel quite isolating and confusing. It lets you laugh at the absurdity of it all, which I think is maybe the most helpful thing.
Absolutely. And as we wrap up this deep dive, here's a final thought for you to mull over, something the manual highlights. All those things you might have scorned when you were younger slippers, shopping at John Lewis, maybe even wanting to live in the suburbs. They often become genuine sources of comfort, or just plain practicality in midlife. So maybe midlife isn't just the beginning of the end. Maybe it's the beginning of just unapologetically being yourself. Finding comfort where you find it, even if your younger self will be horrified. We really hope this deep dive has given you that shortcut to being well-informed, maybe sparked a few laughs, a few aha moments along the way. Thanks for sharing your sources with us. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and perhaps consider investing in a really, really good pair of slippers.